Pakistan recently signed a strategic mutual defense agreement with Saudi Arabia. Speaking on the impact of the agreement, Pakistan Defense Minister Khwaja Muhammad Asif said now Saudi Arabia will come under the nuclear umbrella of Pakistan. Will that bring more security to the Gulf region, or will that increase the volatility of Gulf? These questions are now being discussed by defense experts, geopolitics experts, and international media. But there are other issues also. In that case, what will US and Israel do? Will they attack Pakistan's nuclear weapons? Why I ask this question? Now, if Pakistan start distributing their nuclear bombs to Gulf countries, then that is going to create chaos in the Middle East. There is no surety that those countries which are going to get nuclear bombs or control over nuclear bombs will not share it with others, because Pakistan is a country which is in deep financial crisis. Pakistan is really a basket case. Now, then in that case, if the West allows Pakistan to form its own NATO, Islamic NATO, as Pakistan put that, then what will be the use of non-proliferation treaty? That will actually cause chaos in the whole world, because many other countries will restart nuclear experiments. India will be forced to do, because India will now be under increased threat. How will the US face the new situation? Very interesting question. I don't think the US has got any other answers. I mean, the only option will be to destroy Pakistan's nuclear weaponry. In case Pakistan forms an Islamic NATO, Pakistan shares nuclear bombs with others. Let's take a closer look into what is happening in the Middle East geopolitics and what will happen to Pakistan's nuclear armory. Welcome to Insights. I am Hari Kumar. Now it has become very clear that Pakistan is going to share their nuclear weapons with Saudi Arabia, because Pakistan Defense Minister Khwaja Muhammad Asif has already made it clear. Now there is no need to speculate. Now the question is, how is it going to impact Middle East politics? Till now, Israel was the only country that possessed nuclear weapons in the Middle East. All the other countries, especially the Gulf Cooperation Council countries, I mean the UAE, the Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Oman, all those countries were under the protection of United States. United States got money from those countries. It sold their arms to Muslim countries. They got some priority in businesses, especially in oil industry in the Middle East. In return, the GCC countries got some kind of so-called protection. I don't know whether it was something real or it was something imaginary. But now in the evolving situation, Saudi Arabia or some other Gulf country getting nuclear weapons, Islamic countries forming their own NATO-like or security organization, what will be the relevance of United States? You need to remember that the US has got one of their biggest air bases in Qatar, that is in Doha. Then their fifth fleet has got a base in Bahrain. Now what will happen to those facilities? The Gulf doesn't need the US anymore in that case. But then there is a question. Will simply forming an organization of Islamic countries ensure a NATO like security arrangement? Absolutely not. Just because you got a country with a few crude nuclear weapons and they are willing to share it for a price, does that mean that your security is ensured? Absolutely not. You know why I say so? Just possessing nuclear weapons doesn't ensure that you could use them, because you need launch vehicles. You need to have what the Gulf has is only aircrafts, and they are, and that too not B2 or TU like Russia's or US bomber aircrafts. They have got other aircrafts, F-16, then Rafale. Of course, these aircrafts can carry bombs, but that doesn't mean that they will reach the destination. They will be under the radar of the opponents, and they could face counterattacks, and the result could be devastating. Even the nuclear bombs may fall in the same country. So this is entirely chaotic, no doubt about that. And you have to have a nuclear triad if you want real protection from nuclear weapons. Does GCC have a nuclear triad? Absolutely not. They need to build their own submarines, and that too, submarines, nuclear powered submarines should be there. Then there should be missiles, intercontinental missiles, or at least missiles with around 5,000 kilometer range. You need to have that. This is the age of hypersonic and supersonic missiles. India, during the recent attack against Pakistan, that is, I mean, Operation Sindoor, proved the power of supersonic missile. BrahMos missile devastated air bases of Pakistan. Pakistan couldn't do anything. Now their air defense system was not good enough. When Israel attacked Qatar, where was their air defense system? Or somebody might speculate that the air defenses, they willingly switched off it because they were in connivance with Israel. I don't know. You can cook up so many conspiracy theories, but there is not much meaning in it. Now you need to have an entire fleet of military satellites to guide your missiles. If US suspends GPS, what will happen? India has got its own GPS like navigation system, which is Navic. China has got their own, Russia has their own. But does GCC, I mean the imaginary NATO of the GCC or Islamic NATO, does that possesses any arrangement like a fleet of military satellites? It's not easy as Pakistan thinks. It's true Saudi wanted nuclear bombs. Not now. Right from 1980s they wanted a nuclear bomb. There it was Saudi Arabia that actually funded Pakistan. Pakistan is moving around with a begging bowl. How could they find money for a nuclear program? Of course, Saudi gave them. Look at the grants given by Saudi Arabia to Pakistan since 1980s. Certain statistics say they donated around more than 30 billion US dollars to Pakistan as grant or aid. So it means Saudi was funding Pakistan's nuclear program. They knew that. By 2010, they actually wanted Pakistan to share the nuclear weapons. Pakistan is now has got a huge debt of around 100 billion US dollars. They would like to get around something like 5 billion US dollars every year for protection. But that is not real protection. That's a sham, that's a scam. Pakistan is trying to extract money from Arab sheikhs. These sheikhs will give them. Those money Pakistanis generals and other political leaders will pocket, and they will transfer it to Western countries. Again chaos. Nobody knows what is happening. Nobody takes the accountability. Everybody will pass the buck. That's going to happen. Now, I think in that situation, again there is a danger. These nuclear weapons may fall into some terror groups. So if some organization stages an upset in a country or topples the government, then what will happen? The new government will be pro fundamentalist, pro-radical Islam. It can happen. So I feel that it is logical to conclude that Israel will attack Pakistan and America will support them. India will also support them because that's in the interest of India also. Israel had tried that. Earlier, Israel had destroyed the nuclear program of Saddam Hussein. In 1980s, their camouflaged war fighter jets bombed nuclear facilities of Iraq. Then, again, Israel was willing to attack nuclear facilities of Pakistan. He had India given them a base at Udhampur in Jammu and Kashmir. But unfortunately, the Congress governments and the previous governments of India were not willing to take that risk. They believed something like a policy of non-alignment or something like that. And they sacrificed the interests of India. An opportunity was lost. But this time I am sure Narendra Modi government will not repeat mistakes. You once committed mistake doesn't mean you are going to do that all again. India is not going to do that. So this is going to be the new reality. I'm sure otherwise the US will lose everything. If Gulf doesn't need US, then it's not the military interest, even the business interest that will affect. So Donald Trump, I am sure, will not allow that to happen. Anyway, in the coming days, it's going to be, momentous. You don't know what is going to happen, but handing over nuclear weapons and nuclearizing Gulf is not a good idea. It's like, setting fire to the whole world. Let's see what is going to happen. Meet you again with updates. Till then, goodbye.